What's going on, guys? Hey, it's Bonkface. Today I got some breaking news for you guys. No, it's only breaking news if you follow the propaganda from mainstream media and most of our government. The Department of Energy finally came out and changed their position on COVID and where it came from, saying that it most likely leaked from a Chinese research lab. New conclusion was issued in an update to 2001 document prepared by the Director of National Intelligence. It was recently provided by the White House lawmakers, the Wall Street Journal reported on Sunday. The Energy Department has now joined the FBI in saying the virus likely spread from a lab in Wuhan. However, four other agencies are still said to favor the natural spillover theory. The virus escaped via an animal at a nearby meat market. Two agencies, one of which is the CIA, are yet to declare a definitive position. Now, it's funny they bring up the animal thing because there was yet to be another animal that tested with this. There's been reports of tigers and stuff in zoos, but I've never really seen any real proof on that. The Wuhan virology lab has been under strict security since this has all happened, and I wonder why. I got a couple videos to show you guys. One of Jim Acosta giving an interview, and one of Senator Paul questioning the weasel Dr. Fauci. And then I'll end it with a video of Trump being proven right again. You know, we're conspiracy theorists and kicked off of all social media for speaking the truth years ago. If you like what you see here, please consider liking and subscribing. This is Bongface, and I'm out of here.
There is new intelligence that's likely to rekindle the unsettled debate over the origins of COVID. The U.S. Department of Energy has concluded that it most likely came from a lab leak and not from an infected animal. But two CNN sources point out the department only backs this new assessment with, quote, low confidence. The Wall Street Journal was first to report on this, and reporter Michael Gordon was part of the newspaper's team that broke the story. Michael, thanks so much for being with us. What is this new assessment based on? Does it add more clarity or just muddy the waters even more, do you think?
Well, Jim, there's been a division in the U.S. intelligence community all along. And previously, as we reported, the FBI had asserted that a lab leak was likely with moderate confidence, and several other agencies were on the other side, saying with low confidence it might have emerged naturally, meaning it leapt from an animal to a human being. What's new here is the Department of Energy has gone from an agnostic position, saying they don't know where it came from, to leaning toward the lab theory, as we reported, with low confidence. So now you have two agencies leaning toward the lab theory, one with low confidence, one with moderate confidence, and four on the natural side with low confidence. There's still a division, but it's significant that the Energy Department, which has national laboratories under its jurisdiction, is staking out this stance.
Well, let me ask you this. I want to play a clip from White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan referencing your reporting on CNN earlier this morning. Let's listen to what he had to say.
One of the things in that Wall Street Journal report, which I can't confirm or deny, but I will say the reference to the Department of Energy, President Biden specifically requested that the national labs, which are part of the Department of Energy, be brought into this assessment because he wants to put every tool at use to be able to figure out what happened here.
Michael, I guess one of the problems here is that China has not exactly been very cooperative in helping the U.S. or the rest of the world, for that matter, get to the bottom of this. Without that kind of cooperation, will we ever know with any kind of certainty where the virus came from?
Well, I certainly think there's the potential to learn more, and that's the view of certainly scientists like Dr. Relman at Stanford who have looked into that they haven't exhausted all the means of learning about it. But one thing, Jim, that I think is important is the American public really hasn't been told enough about this. I mean, the administration has done an intensive intelligence community review, a 90-day effort. And what happened was they updated it recently in a several-page long classified report whose very existence was not known until we wrote about it in the Wall Street Journal. And the two parties that are analyzing this as a potential lab leak, the FBI and the Department of Energy, they've not testified to the Congress. No one's heard directly from the FBI or Lawrence Livermore Laboratory, which did an assessment on this, why they come to this conclusion. And I understand there's a imperative to protect classified information, but it would seem possible to describe the logic of this in somewhat greater detail. What we have now is a 17-page unclassified report from October 2021, and not much direct exchange with the different parts of the intelligence community, which are taking these different views. I mean, on all sides. I mean, I would think that the American public could learn a lot from hearing directly from these organizations.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember covering this when this lab leak theory first developed during the Trump administration. I spoke with a senior administration official who said, no, we have to consider this as a possibility. And I remember Dr. Anthony Fauci, who was really the leading scientist during the Trump and some of the Biden years on COVID, saying, no, he really thought it was a virus that came from a jump from animal to human. And we just are seemingly stuck in this debate ever since. Do you think that this is going to change the debate? Where do you see it headed?
Well, first of all, Dr. Fauci now says, and I heard him recently, that he's open to both views, although he certainly tends toward the natural view. But what's happened, Jim, is that initially the theory was, well, it leapt from an animal host to a human being. And why was that? Because that's how it had happened before. But now we're 3 years into this. They've never found an animal, not one. And there's been renewed attention on the kind of research activity that was going on in Wuhan and the safety conditions under which that activity was being carried out, which is not high. And so the absence of an animal host, no one has ever been found, and study of Chinese academic papers and more knowledge about the kind of coronavirus research they were doing there, with an eye toward finding out a vaccine, presumably, has focused renewed attention on the lab. So what we have now is circumstantial evidence, but circumstantial evidence that is tending to lean more in favor of the lab theory. What we don't have is anything like conclusive evidence of one or the other. And I don't think the jury's out on this. I think certainly the Congress is going to be digging into this some more. But I think there's more light that can be brought to bear on this, and possibly more information that the government has in terms of its analysis that can be declassified and made available to the American public. There have been more than a million Americans have died because of this. And we have a 17-page declassified report from October 2021. People are really interested in learning more about it, even if the debate is going to continue.
You're absolutely right about that. The American public has a right to know. We need to get to the bottom of it. And your reporting has gotten us in that direction. Michael Gordon with the Wall Street Journal. Thanks, as always. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
I don't know how many times I can say it, Madam Chair. We did not fund gain-of-function research to be conducted in the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
In our health lead, we now know that a bat coronavirus was enhanced in a lab.
NIH and NIAID categorically has not funded gain-of-function research to be conducted in the Wuhan Institute.
The National Institutes of Health acknowledged that it funded research of a virus that was studied at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The experiment unexpectedly, we're told, made a bat coronavirus more contagious than the original naturally occurring one.
Dr. Fauci, knowing that it is a crime to lie to Congress, do you wish to retract your statement of May 11th where you claimed that the NIH never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement.
A new letter raising questions about experiments in a Wuhan lab.
Let me finish.
You take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans, you're saying that's not gain-of-function?
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially. You do not know what you are talking about.
For years, the National Institutes of Health provided grant money to the EcoHealth Alliance Research Group, which conducted experiments with bat coronaviruses in Wuhan, China.
And if anybody is lying here, Senator, it is you. That's where you are getting. Let me finish.
We don't know.
Well,
we don't
wait
know
a minute.
if it did
I
come
can-
from the lab, but all the evidence is pointing that it came from the lab, and there will be responsibility for those who funded the lab, including yourself.
National Institute of Health admitted this week that it funded controversial gain-of-function research using coronaviruses at a lab in China at the epicenter of the pandemic, contradicting claims from Dr. Anthony Fauci that American tax dollars never paid for that kind of research.
I have not lied before Congress. I have never lied, certainly not before Congress. Case closed.
And my question is, have you seen anything at this point that gives you a high degree of confidence that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the origin of this virus?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I think that the World Health Organization should be ashamed of themselves because they're like the public relations agency for China. And this country pays them almost $500 million a year, and China pays them $38 million a year. And whether it's a lot or more, it doesn't matter. It's still, they shouldn't be making excuses when people make horrible mistakes, especially mistakes that are causing hundreds of thousands of people around the world to die.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Let's go, Brandon.